What's up, guys? Longtails here. Welcome back to another video of Katawa Shoujo. Last video we had some antics with we played Risk with the student council, as well as meet a bunch of our classmates. In this video we're gonna be going to the library. As you can see, there's a little something different about my recording. I put the game on the right side this time and added a different picture. Just wanted to try something new since I asked one of my friends for his opinion, and he thought that this would be a better idea, and I was like, sure, I might as well try it since we're still in the early stages of the game anyways. And it's not a bad thing to try out new things, right? So just, you know, let's just get this reading started. One flight of stairs up, and I run into problems. The second floor hallway is a carbon copy of the third floor one. Wide, of course, and plain like only hallways can be. The problem is that the library's whereabouts are not as easily determined as one would think. The classrooms are marked with signs stating which class they belong to, but then there is a plethora of other unmarked rooms. Is the library one of them? Or is it just somewhere down the hallway? I bet on the latter and choose my direction at random. After I turn around the corner, an unmarked door draws my attention because it's not closed. It's not open either though, just barely ajar so that I can see it open. I can see it's open and nothing else. It would make sense for the library door to be invitingly open, and while this one is not quite that, it's good enough. At the very least, it means that someone is inside, and I can ask for directions, no matter how embarrassing that is. I gingerly push on the center of the door with my fingertips, every muscle in my arm ready to pull back at a moment's notice. The feeling of being an outsider to the school can't be shaken from my mind, so much so that I instinctively fear doing something wrong by entering. The door slowly creaks as if groaning from a deep sleep, though is much easier to open than I had anticipated. Leaning over and poking my head ever further inside to gain sight of the room as fast as possible, the meek hello on my lips is quickly snatched away. Ooh. This is not as I was expecting. I mindlessly let the door open to its full extent, taking in the sight of the solitary figure taking center stage in the otherwise abandoned room. The situation steals my voice, leaving me standing at the doorway staring at the beautiful girl. Evidently having taken her time to assess the situation, the girl gently puts down her teacup and opens her eyes, but doesn't look at me. Hello there, may I help you? Staring directly in front of herself, the movements of her lips seem to break the silence rather than the words. However, it's the soft, measured voice that reminds me she's a being separate from the room itself. Not only is she likely the tallest girl I've ever laid eyes on, but even among the foreigners I've met, she's strikingly distinct. Hi, sorry for intruding. I was just kind of lost. She takes a moment to formulate a response before speaking. Every action she takes feels as if it's carefully choreographed beforehand. Care to take a seat? Unexpected, considering that I'm intruding upon her. Thanks. I slowly step towards another seat opposite her, the girl resting the teacup and saucer on the wooden table in between. The way she doesn't track my movements with her head is telling. That, and the slight cloudiness to her eyes, means she must be at least partially blind like Kenji. Come to think of it, her voice doesn't have any detectable accent either. I guess she must be half Japanese. As I take my seat, her composure takes me slightly off guard. Her air of relaxed confidence makes the silence entirely comfortable. The calming atmosphere is so very different from the student council office. I I take it you're a new student to Yamaku? Ah, yeah. I transferred in yesterday. I don't know why I find that funny. I get the distinct feeling my speech patterns don't match the formality of hers, accentuated by her restrained bow of greeting. I still don't know how to voice her. Voicing girls are so hard, dude. One which I hasten to match, before realizing the futility of the action. I'm Lily Sato. Pleased to meet you. Hisao Nakai. She gives a nod before gesturing roughly in the direction of her teacup. Would you care for a drink? Sure. As much as it pains me, I can't keep step with her formality in the proceedings. She gives a kind nod, taking the request in stride. Without another word, she steps off the chair and prepares a second cup of tea from a collection of supplies laid out along a shelf. A brush here, a brush there, her left hand often lightly touching the side of whichever container she's pouring into. It seems to be a process she's followed dozens of times before. As I lean sideways to see around her back, she seems to use her long, dainty finger to measure the right amount of water in the cup. It's one thing to see the different disabilities the students in my class have, but it's quite another to see how everyone seems to adapt. Shizune and Misha have no problem working together to communicate to me, and Lily herself seems to have workarounds for problems I'd never thought of. While I feel slightly guilty about her doing the work, she seems pleased to be following the correct process of the offerer preparing the drink. So, her soft voice brings me out of my silent observance. Gosh, can't speak. Which room were you looking for? It's not often this classroom is visited after school. The school library. Shizune and some classmates told me it was on this floor. She finishes pouring water into the teacup as she nods, a small metallic tapping coming from the teacup indicating it being stirred. I'm aware of Miss Hakamichi, as are most students. To be with them means you're in class 3-3 now? That's right, in the science room with Mato. She gives a small giggle before setting down the teaspoon and slowly walking towards the table, teacup and saucer in hand. He's quite the character. I imagine you'll come to like him. Most do. As she sets down the tea, I gently take it and have a sip. I'm really more of a coffee person, but this seems like a rather bad moment to bring it up. Nonetheless, the smell's quite nice. I hardly think it'd be hard to choke down. Thanks, Sato. It tastes really nice. She smiles and quickly waves her hand in front of her face. Lily, please. There's no need to be too formal. She says this in spite of her exceedingly well-bred speech. Oh well. I guess I should try and ask her about herself, as it really does seem as if she's catering to me. So, which class are you from? I imagine it's one of the third-year classes. Correct. I'm in class 3 too, which is on the 3rd floor, same as yours. It's taught by Miyagi, and is specifically for both blind and partially blind students. I see. Sorry. I feel like slapping myself for the faux pas, looking at her face, though. She doesn't seem the least bit put off by it. My, there's no need to change your speech on my account. Sure. Sorry. I guess I'm really showing my newness here. An environment like this would be a big change, so I can't fault you for it. While the same can't be said for everyone, many have come to terms with their conditions. A category which would include her, it seems. All too ready to jump ship from this particular topic, I segue into another. Do you come here to drink tea often? It's a really nice place. Thinking on it, this might be her version of the place behind my school that I like to have lunch at.
I come here fairly often during lunchtimes. My duties as class representative don't leave enough time for an official club, so a friend and I use this room for having tea.
Class representative, huh? Compared to Shizune, her mannerisms seem to be almost completely opposite. While Shizune is blunt and fiercely driven, Lily seems relaxed and calm, almost aloof. Come to think of it, she might be useful for a less biased view of the school's clubs. What kind of clubs are there to join?
The more popular ones are the track and field club, which uses the field near the school during lunchtimes, the baseball club, and the book club in a room near the library. There are also numerous small ones too, though, such as the art and music clubs.
At a time when I'm just wanting to get on my feet, rushing into a club right away seems slightly unappealing. I wonder if the school shares the same rule as my old one. Is it compulsory to join a club?
It isn't, though it's encouraged.
Ah, good. That's a relief. I've really let down my guard around this girl to let such a thing slip out. The fact seems to slightly amuse her. Not wanting my tea to get cold, I finally start drinking it as Lily does the same. As I look over to the window over her shoulder, I notice the light coming to the room has a distinctly orange tint. Hopefully maybe the music is a little bit too loud. Maybe I should turn it down. Just in case, because it's loud on my end, so I don't know if it's actually loud in the recording, but we'll see how it goes. I can always fix it in the editing process as well for next video. As I look over to the window over her shoulder, I notice the light coming into the room has a distinctly orange tint. Wait, I think I already read that, but whatever. Even here, time doesn't stand still. Huh? The time's gone quickly. Sorry? Right, she's blind. Of course she can't see the sun setting. It just looks like the sun's starting to set. It seems to come as a surprise for her. I guess she must have lost track of the time.
Sorry, Hisao. I didn't mean to keep you from the library for so long.
I quickly moved to allay her concern. Ah, no, it's okay. The library's still open, isn't it? She pauses and takes a moment to think on it. It's probably something I should have asked Shizune when I had the chance, but Lily seems likely to know in any case.
True. It's open until 6:30 during weekdays.
A quick glance at my watch confirms I have well enough time to get there. I might get going in that case. It's been nice talking with you, Lily. She smiles and gives a deep nod, her hands still neatly folded on the table in front of her.
It was my pleasure. Oh, come to think of it, shall I show you to where the library is?
I couldn't possibly ask for more help. I should be able to find it alright. Well, unless my navigational skills fail me, which they seem to have a habit of doing.
It's alright. I was going to be talking to the librarian there in any case. I could introduce you.
This gets better and better. It's pretty hard to deny her offer. If you're sure, then that'd be great. Thanks. As she stands up to follow me, she takes hold of a straight, retractable cane that had been slipped in the handle of her bag on the floor. Compared to the cane that boy in my class had, Lily's looks much thinner and longer. His must be for support, whereas Lily's is for navigation. Together we leave the peaceful room and enter the empty hallway on the way to the library. Side by side, my pace carefully slowed to match hers. We slowly walk through the hallway. It doesn't take long for us to arrive at the door to the warm-looking room, apparently situated in the center of the floor rather than either wing. Ladies first? She gives an appreciative smile at the gesture, taking the lead as we file in. To the left is the wooden library counter, with the library proper being on the right. It easily dwarfs my old school's library, with a distinct smell of old books giving the place an almost old-world air. There doesn't seem to be a lot of students here, considering the theme. It isn't a big surprise. Everyone's probably either in the school grounds or the dorms.
Yuko, are you here?
She says it to thin air since the librarian doesn't seem to be present, and of course Lily can't see this. What's unexpected is that it draws a reaction. Something from under the counter thuds against it, followed by a quiet wail.
Ah.
The origin, apparently the librarian, quickly crawls out and bounces up to extremely rigid attention. What kind of voice?
Hi, Lily. How can I help you?
Another problem with doing these voices, sometimes I feel like I don't sound any different, even though I'm trying to sound different, so hopefully I do sound different enough to differentiate each voice, but I won't know until I actually look at the recording after, but hopefully it is. Her voice is strained in a failing attempt to sound casual, and she's rubbing the back of her head.
Good afternoon. What happened just now? I heard a strange sound. It's nothing. I just hit my head. See, I dropped an eraser under my desk, and while I was looking for it, a pencil dropped, and when I was looking for both of them, you came and surprised me. Are you alright?
I'm sorry. I couldn't know. Why do I feel like I'm giving them both very, very similar voices? I shouldn't do that, but there's way too many people to voice.
It's okay. It's okay. Sorry for making you worry. This is nothing. I've had worse happen to me.
She's quick to reverse Lily's apologies, almost frantically trying to push aside the possibility that she could be in any way inconvenienced by bashing her head on the counter.
Yes, worse things have happened. Hee hee hee.
The girl fidgets with her fingers as Lily doesn't seem to drop her concerned expression, and then she shuffles some papers around the counter for no reason. A little shorter than Lily, replete with glasses, freckles, and a very troubled look, she seems to fit a library perfectly.
Ah, Lily, did you get my message?
Message? Huh.
Oh, the 2 imported books that arrived? Right. They finally came. I can't believe it took so long, but...
Amidst her celebrations, partially for managing to change the topic, I'm sure, she noticed me from the corner of her eye and freezes on the spot when she does. I think I'm probably gonna have to give them similar voices because, especially for girl voices, because, oh man, it's so hard to do girl voices, dude. I can't, like Misha for one is super easy because it's like a higher pitch, energetic voice. Lily is like a more calm voice, and then I'm this girl or the librarian, and I'm guessing the future girls, and yeah, they'll probably have to be quite similar to each other. But guys, I can definitely differentiate, but there's not many of them, so well, let's just hope I can do it for the girls too. Amidst her celebrations, partially from managing to change the topic, I'm sure, she notices me from the corner of her eye and freezes on the spot when she does.
Oh no, I'm sorry for not noticing you before. Did you need to check out a book or return one? I'm sorry.
The way she can quickly shift between moods is a little unsettling.
He's with me. Yuko, this is Hisao, a new student. Hisao, this is Yuko, the school librarian.
Pleased to meet you.
Hisao, right. Hisao. Pleased to meet you too, Hisao.
For a second, she visibly attempts to engrave the name on her mind so she won't forget.
Yuko often arranges to...
Oh, I don't know why I put like an imaginary comma there. I don't know why.
Yuko often arranges to import foreign books in Braille for me. Would you like to tell Hisao a little something about the library?
Lily's innocent suggestion is met with an expression of abject terror.
Please, Lily, I can't. I don't know what he could be interested in. This is too much responsibility.
How's it any responsibility at all? I don't get. Wait, what? How it's any responsibility at all? I don't get. But her objection is so sincere, I don't doubt for a second that she would rather disembowel herself on the spot than tell me where the light novels are.
But...
So, there are a lot of books in Braille here? I attempt to save the day by asking the first thing that pops into my head. It seems to work at least partially, as Yuko seems to not exactly relax, but at least look slightly less tense.
Well, I think about a third or a fourth of Yamaku's library is either in Braille or audio.
Makes sense, given all the blind students that be here. If it's only that, how come this library is so big in the first place?
Well, we get a lot of new books regularly because the library is adequately endowed. That's probably why. They spend more on new books than on my salary, and then I have to organize and shove all of them. It's so troublesome and they weigh so much. I wish I could quit this job.
A very awkward silence follows this revelation of too much information. I'll go check the aisles then, if you don't mind. It's probably best for all of us if she doesn't keep talking to me.
Very well. Meanwhile, Yuko, I would have those books if it's alright with you.
My first impression was right. The library is surprisingly big. Ambling down the narrow aisles, I study the spines of the books in random order, occasionally sliding one out to read the blurb, taking it with me if it looks good. In a few moments, I have a respectable stack of books in my arms. I guess I'll never be stuck for choices in here. The normality of the library sinks in. Sure, there are large print and braille books scattered throughout, but it is what it is, a library. It's as if the calm mood from the room I had tea with Lily in snuck with us in here, unless it was here to begin with. Something about that puts me at ease, just like before. I reach the end of the aisle and find a collection of desks set up for study or personal reading. Going a little further, though, I discover a nice quiet corner at the back. While the rest of the library has the odd students sitting at a desk, either reading or stealthily sleeping, the back is pretty much deserted. As I glance around, I see someone who I recognize sitting on one of the several beanbags. Hanako! It's the dark-haired girl from my class, the one who snuck out of the classroom earlier. She's reading a book, keeping it close to her face, which makes her look like she's really into it. From the way she was acting today, I had her pegged as more of a delinquent than a bookworm. In fact, her mysterious disappearance from the class raises all sorts of whys in my head. Intrigue floats slowly but surely towards the surface, and before I know it, I'm walking towards the mysterious long-haired girl. I guess there's no harm in introducing myself as I would with anyone else. She's a classmate after all. Walking over to another beanbag, I take a seat and lay my books beside it. The girl starts, looking scaredly up at me from underneath her fringe. This is the first time I've seen her this close. Underneath her long, dense bangs, I can see that part of her face, at least a third, if not half, is pretty badly scarred. Oh, I can't speak right now. Oh my gosh. My eyes are immediately drawn to the scars, subconsciously peeking past her hair until they meet her own eyes. For a second, I am shocked and divert my eyes to the book in her hands, before I realize that looking away probably only makes it worse. It takes too many seconds to collect myself and remember what I walked up to her for. Hey, it's the first choice that I haven't made yet. So he did wanna introduce himself to her, so I should probably choose this one. And also, it's good to make new friends, right? Especially since it's a dating sim after all. But yeah, I would choose it. I would introduce myself anyways. Hi, I'm new here. Hisao Nakai. We're in the same class. I just transferred here the other day. Maybe you don't remember? I did a self-introduction too. The girl still doesn't say a word, but simply stares at me, wide-eyed. I'm still getting used to the place, so I'm trying to meet as many people as I can. So, what's your name? Hanako. Her speech is stuttering and so quiet that it is barely audible even in the still library. Somehow I think that my delinquent impression of her was wrong. Hanako, eh? So what are you reading? She gently tips the book backwards so I can read the title, at the same time hiding her face behind it. She must have noticed me staring before. Life of Pi? I've never heard of it before. What's it about? A boy and a tiger on a boat. Oh man, I'm gonna have trouble doing her voice too. I can see this taking some time. Sounds interesting. Is it any good? She nods from behind the book, but stays silent. She looks kinda tense, a bit like Yuko earlier, but in a different way. More like petrified with terror, I'd say. Oh my god, she's shaking so much, what? So the mystery delinquent girl turned out to be anything but, and she is quivering in a way that makes it look like she is mortally afraid of me. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to get water. Let me get water real quick. I got some water. Yes. The only way out of this, as far as I can tell, is to try to get a normal conversation going. Is it a library book? I'm looking for new ones to read, but there's just so many. No, it's mine. Oh, so do you come here often? A huge blush spreads on Hanako's face, and her eyes widen far larger than I thought it was possible for eyes to do. Oh, she's blushing. Uh-oh, did she interpret my lame attempt at small talk as a feeble attempt to pick her up? I mean, I didn't mean it like that. I? I've gotta go do something! Oh my gosh. Without warning, Hanako takes off and runs towards the counter. Her hair-like takeoff catches me so off guard that I don't manage to go after her until she has a good head start. By the time I reach the counter, she is nowhere to be seen. Lily and Yuko are happily chatting away. Knowing that I won't be able to catch Hanako myself, I approach the girls. Hey, did you notice a girl run past here? Wait, I need to clear my throat again. I'll probably just cut off every time I have to clear my throat in the editing process. Hey, did you see? Oh wait. Maybe. What did she look like? Long, dark hair, kinda shy. She had, well, some scars on her face. You wouldn't be talking about Hanako, would you? Yeah, that's her. I saw her reading and tried to talk to her, but I think I scared her off or something. Oh dear. Yuko, would you excuse me? I had better try and find her. Sure, I'll just hold on to these until you come back. What's going on? I'm sorry, but I'll have to explain it to you some other time. Right. I'll see you later then. Lily, Lily hastily grabs her cane and hurries out of the library, leaving me alone with Yuko. I don't think I'll ever get the hang of this place. Did I do something wrong? What did you do? Nothing. I just talked to her, tried to get to know her, didn't even manage to get started. Yuko sighs and looks awfully bothered, even more so than she did before. I guess you weren't wrong so much as tactless. Tactless? That girl is a bit of a special case. It's like she never really talks to anyone. Isn't that a bit strange? I wonder. It's just how she is, I think. Yuko doesn't sound all that convincing. Then again, maybe this is just the norm around here. Everyone has their own problems, or else they wouldn't be here. Perhaps I was being a little tactless after all. But how should I deal with these people? Forcing myself to act overly casually only makes me feel phony. Like I was supposed to be ignoring the elephant in the room. Yuko fidgets, looking like she wants to say something to that, but resists it. I think it's an elephant only if you feel that way. I guess she doesn't have a good sense of self-restraint. It makes me smile, and she blushes heavily. What? Did that sound stupid? No, it sounded really wise. I guess you're right. It's more about me than anyone else. Neither of us has anything to add, so Yuko fills the silence by shuffling some papers around. People who have papers on their desk really like doing that. Did you find any books? I should be closing soon. I mean, this library should be closing, but I have to do it. I hope that's not too inconvenient for you. Oh yeah, I want some books, but I left them over there because I'll just go get them. I fetched my stack of books from beside the beanbags where Hanuko and I were sitting and returned to the counter. Wow, you read a lot, don't you? I surprise myself with that too, honestly, at least, when I really think about it. I had a lot of free time earlier this year, so I just kind of started reading books to fill that time. I couldn't do much else. I see. But she doesn't say anything else and just checks out my books for me. I guess this is what they call tact. Holding the library books with one arm, I troll my pocket for the key to the door